Well, hello, this is Tim Talks About Everything, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I know about bluebirds. And we moved here from Illinois to Indiana about 15 years ago, and we looked out in our backyard, which we were turning into kind of a garden, and we saw bluebirds. That was the first time I had ever seen bluebirds. And so we got this idea, hey, let's go get us a real nice fancy bluebird house. And so we went to Wild Birds Unlimited and we got this beauty of a bluebird house. We got the pole, we got the whole 9 yards, and it is a thing of beauty. And put the thing up, and in short order we had sparrows move in. And I took out the nest, and then we had sparrows move in, and I took out the nest and we had sparrows move in. And I think that first or second year, I'm not sure which one it was, I removed 13 sparrow nests because they just don't give up. These house sparrows, they won't leave you alone. And so we didn't have any bluebirds for a couple of years. And then finally one year we had some bluebirds, and we were so excited. And they had the eggs, and they hatched out, and the sparrows came in, killed the babies. And then the next year we had the same thing, only the sparrows came in, killed the adult bluebird, and built their nest on top of its body. And that's when I decided, all right, if I'm gonna have a bluebird house, if I'm gonna raise a bluebird, this means war. Now my wife is very tender-hearted, that's why I love her, but she doesn't want to hurt the sparrows. And every time she gets a little soft-hearted toward the house sparrows, I say, honey, remember the bluebird. Remember the bluebirds. And so what I did was I thought, okay, I'll just put up some other houses, because I mean, after all, maybe if the sparrows have a house that they can live in, they'll maybe leave the bluebirds alone. And so I put this other house up, and you can see that it has a few little pellet marks. Talk about that later maybe. So I put up another house, and the sparrows built a nest in that one, and they built a nest in the bluebird house. And in the meantime, I just kept putting in more that I thought would be a good habitat. So we have plenty of things for them to build their nests. We have plenty of water for them to drink. And I started giving them some food that I thought would attract them and keep them coming back for more. And so every day I open the door and I walk out here and I whistle my tune so they know who's coming. Hi-ho, it's off to work I go. So I whistle that tune, and I put out peanuts for the blue jays, and I put out the mealworms, and experimenting with this other Wild Birds Unlimited feeder here. So I've got a lot of stuff going on, and they come and they enjoy it. And in fact, this year we had a nice bluebird family. They raised 5 little ones, and the 5 little ones are still being fed. They still come around. In fact, one morning I came out here and there were 3 baby bluebirds sitting in this empty little dish where I put the mealworms, just waiting for me to come out with the mealworms. So I mean, they kind of gotten used to being pampered a little bit, which is a little scary. You know, I hope the hawks don't get them and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, we've got this little habitat going on, and I decided I'd keep on adding more birdhouses and more habitat and more things for them to perch on, and so on and so forth. So I've got this little birdhouse up here, and nobody's ever really taken me up on that one. They come, sometimes the wrens, sometimes the chickadees have given that a shot, but basically nobody really wants that house. But over here on this other side, we're walking through what I call the French allée, and now we're going over to the English cottage garden side of the yard. It's a little yard, but we've got a little bit of international flavor going on. Got some water over here for the bluebirds. And this little box right here has seen its better days, but that's raised chickadees and wrens, and I'll just open it up. And you can see that there is a bluebird nest that they are just now building. They raised their 5, and now they're apparently going to raise some more. So hopefully that'll happen. We do like to see a double family. I don't know what the technical term is for that. But the bluebirds are kind of interesting. They have their way of dominating too, if they can. They're not as domineering as the sparrows are, but this is a nest that they built earlier in the year. So there's a bluebird nest here. There's a bluebird nest in that other one that I just showed you. There's a bluebird nest in the original one I showed you, which was our box that we got from Wild Birds Unlimited. And by the way, they're not paying me to do this. I wish they would, but as near as I know, there's no check in the mail. So anyway, I've added these other bird houses, and they've had success. And hey, I love having the chickadees here, and I love having the wrens, and I love having all that. But it's interesting to me that the bluebirds come in, they'll build a couple of nests, they'll use one, and then they only allow that one family to dwell in this area. There's never been 2 bluebird families that's lived in this same yard. So I don't know if they drive each other out, or the strongest one wins. I don't know how that works, but that's been our experience, is that there's really only one. With all these bird houses, there's really only one family. So what you find, though, is with the sparrows that you've got to have a little bit of responsibility toward taking care of the sparrows and also taking care of the bluebirds. And one thing that I've found is we're out of the city limits, and I have a pellet gun, and house sparrows are not protected. So I feel very comfortable. I don't like it, but I feel very comfortable shooting at the sparrows with the pellet gun. I miss more often than I hit them. They're hard to hit. And I also have put out traps. Now what I'm using is this kind of trap right here. You put it in the house, you basically trap them alive inside the house. The problem is, though, then you have to decide what you're going to do. Okay, what am I going to do to get rid of that sparrow that I've just now trapped inside the house? So I've read some different things online about what to do, and I don't really feel good about doing any of those things. So I've arrived at something that I feel somewhat comfortable with, because I mean, you can't just let them go. They have to die. But what I've decided is I only trap the males, basically. I wait until the male sparrow gets up on top of the birdhouse and starts tweeting himself silly to try to attract the female. Once I see him doing that, then I go put one of these traps in the birdhouse. And it's usually just a matter of a few minutes that he will come back and he will go inside that house and he's trapped. So then I take this piece of plastic here and I take the top off. Slide this in there because I want to see, did I really trap a sparrow or not? Because I don't want to accidentally trap a bluebird or some other good bird that I like. So that actually happened one time, and you have to be very diligent in checking these traps. You cannot trap something and just leave it in there. So I check and make sure that I haven't actually trapped a bluebird. That happened one time. It's a good thing I check the traps often, because I wouldn't want it to die while I was just drinking my tea or something. So anyway, I take a lot of responsibility for these birds, and I don't like killing them. I mean, the Bible says that God knows when a sparrow falls to the ground. So, you know, I'm cognizant of that, but at the same time, I remember the bluebird, and I want to make sure that I provide a habitat where they can live and thrive. Now, here's what I do, though, with the trap, if you want to know. I've got a trap in this birdhouse back here. The bird goes in, the trap is set, there's a little trip wire in here, and boom, that's what happens. You've got the little red dot there, so you know that the trap has been sprung, so you can do whatever you need to do to take care of that male sparrow, which is really what you're after. The female sparrows, I figure I can identify them, but I don't want to make a mistake, so pretty much I just go after the males because they're very easy to identify. And just a couple other things I'll mention. I just want to encourage you to, if you're interested in raising bluebirds, it is very rewarding when you see those little babies. It's very rewarding when you see the bluebirds in your yard every single day, day after day, when they're not afraid of you. Like I can sit on this patio and they'll be up there at the feeder and in the trees, and it's really a lot of fun. So it is very rewarding. But there is that aspect of you got to go to war against the sparrows, and you just can't let them rule your backyard. You got to be in charge. You know, when God created us, He put us in a garden. He gave us a garden to care for and animals to care for. And I just happen to like caring for bluebirds. So that's Tim talks about everything, and today I talked about bluebirds. God bless you guys. Have a great one. Raise some bluebirds.